All right, so are you ready to unlock some serious conversational superpowers?
Yeah,
Because today,
let's do it.
we are diving into the world of like intermediate English phrases. You know, those everyday expressions that can make you sound like a natural.
Yeah, and you know what's so cool about this deep dive is that we're not just giving like a list of phrases, right?
Right.
We're going to unpack the why behind them.
Yeah.
The subtle nuances that can totally like transform how you sound
Yes.
when you're speaking English.
It's like cracking the code to fluent English.
Yeah.
So we've got this awesome resource, 25 must-know intermediate English phrases, and it's chock full of gems.
It really is.
So let's just jump right in.
Okay.
With a greeting we hear all the time.
Okay.
How's it going?
Right.
Seems simple. Right?
Acceptably simple.
Yeah.
Because it's not just about the words themselves, it's about how you say it.
Totally.
Think about it.
Okay.
A relaxed, casual, how's it going?
Yeah.
Instantly puts people at ease,
Yeah.
makes you sound friendly and approachable.
It's like that instant signal
Yes.
that you're both on the same wavelength.
Exactly.
Ready for a good chat.
Exactly.
And the beauty of this phrase is its versatility.
It's true.
Catching up with an old friend, greeting a colleague,
Yeah.
even breaking the ice with someone new.
Yeah.
It just works.
Totally.
So let's move on to another pair of greetings that often trip up English learners. What have you been up to versus how have you been? They seem interchangeable,
Right.
but there's a key distinction.
There is.
Okay, this is something I've definitely struggled with.
Okay.
Lay it on me. What's the difference?
Okay. So, how have you been is broader.
Okay.
It's about their overall well-being.
Okay.
Think of it as a general check-in.
Okay.
But what have you been up to is more specific.
Okay.
It's digging for those interesting tidbits,
Uh-huh.
those experiences that make up someone's life.
So if I bump into a friend I haven't seen in ages, what have you been up to? Is how I get all the juicy details.
Exactly.
Yes.
And they might respond with something like, oh, I've been trying to learn how to bake sourdough bread. It's harder than it looks.
Which brings us to another gem from the resource.
Okay.
Perfectly illustrating this point, I've been. And here, you fill in the blank with your own exciting experiences.
Yes.
It's all about that present, perfect, continuous tense, but don't let the grammar scare you.
Yeah, don't overthink it.
Yeah.
Because it's not about the technicalities, it's about the feeling.
Okay.
Saying, I've been traveling, paints this picture of an ongoing adventure.
Yes.
As if you're still caught up in the excitement of it all.
Yes.
Much more captivating than a flat, I traveled, right?
Absolutely. It's all about that active, engaging tone.
Yes.
Now let's flip the script
Okay.
and talk about those times when you need to decline an invitation gracefully.
Right.
I know I've been there feeling awkward
Oh, yeah.
and tongue-tied.
Totally.
So,
And that's where a simple but effective phrase comes in.
okay.
Sorry, I can't. It's direct without being harsh.
Ah.
And it avoids long-winded explanations if you're not up for them.
But you're still acknowledging the invitation and expressing regret,
Yes.
which is so important in maintaining those social graces.
Exactly.
Now let's talk about making invitations.
Okay.
And this next one is all about sounding effortlessly cool. How about?
This is a perfect example of how even a simple phrase can make you sound more native-like
Yes.
with a little tweak.
Okay.
Native speakers often soften it up,
Okay.
making it a smooth, how about we grab some coffee? Or how about we catch a movie later? Wow.
Oh.
You see, that subtle change in pronunciation makes a huge difference.
I know, right?
It suddenly sounds so much more casual and inviting,
Yeah.
like something you'd hear in a movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what we're aiming for.
Coffee.
Effortless, natural sounding English.
Speaking of sounding natural, what about those times when our brains freeze and we just can't find the right word?
Yeah.
I swear this happens to me all the time.
It happens to the best of us.
But don't let it derail your conversation.
Okay.
The resource offers a brilliant solution. What do you call this?
Such a lifesaver.
I know, right?
Imagine you're at a market abroad, surrounded by exotic fruits and vegetables.
Yeah.
Instead of fumbling for words, you can simply point and ask,
Right.
what do you call this?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's simple, it's effective, and it even opens up a learning opportunity.
Right.
The other person gets to share their knowledge with you,
Yeah.
and you expand your vocabulary in a real-world context.
It's like having a built-in language exchange
Totally.
right there in the market.
Exactly. And while we're on the topic of asking for help,
Yeah.
let's talk directions.
Okay.
Instead of the textbook, how do I go to?
Right.
The resource suggests, how do I get to?
It seems like such a minor tweak.
I know, right?
But I bet it makes a world of difference in how you sound.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
How do I get to the train station? Just rolls off the tongue.
Yeah.
So much more naturally than how do I go to?
Right.
It's those subtle shifts that really elevate your conversational game.
I'm starting to realize that a lot of these phrases are about ditching the textbook.
Yes.
And embracing a more natural flow.
Exactly. It's about capturing that effortless rhythm of everyday English.
Okay.
And speaking of flow, what about those times when you need to politely interrupt or get someone's attention?
Yes.
We've all been there. You're in a bustling shop
Oh, yeah.
and you need to ask a quick question.
Oh, I can totally picture that.
Yeah.
You don't want to be shouting across the store.
Right?
What's the best way to handle those situations?
A simple, excuse me, works wonders.
Okay.
It's polite, it's direct,
Yeah.
and it immediately signals that you need a moment of their time.
It's like a universal sign for just a quick sec.
Exactly.
Now, misunderstandings happen,
Of course.
and sometimes we need to ask for clarification.
Right.
I know I've been in situations where I'm nodding along, pretending I understand,
Yeah.
when in reality, I'm completely lost.
We've all been there. Don't be afraid to ask, what did you say?
Okay.
It's much better to clear up any confusion
Right.
than to let it snowball into an even bigger misunderstanding.
And sometimes it's not even about mishearing. It's
Aye.
about not quite grasping the meaning.
Okay.
Like, I heard the words,
Yeah.
but I don't get it.
Yeah. For those light bulb moments, what does that mean? Is your new best friend?
Okay.
It goes beyond a simple definition.
Yeah.
You're asking for context,
Okay.
for clarification on how it all fits together.
It's like saying, help me connect the dots here.
Exactly.
I love how these phrases empower us to take control of the conversation.
Yes.
And ensure we're all on the same page.
Totally.
Speaking of being on the same page, sometimes we need to communicate that we're not feeling our best.
Absolutely. And the resource provides a great phrase for that.
Okay.
I don't feel so good.
Okay.
It conveys a general sense of being unwell without going into too much detail,
Right.
which could be helpful if you're not feeling up to explaining everything.
It's perfect for those times when you're hit with a sudden wave of nausea or a pounding headache.
Exactly.
Yeah, it gets the message across quickly and effectively.
It does.
Now, what about those times when you need to be more specific about where you need to go?
In those cases, a simple, I need to go to, followed by the location, will do the trick.
I need to go to the pharmacy. I need to go to the bank.
Exactly.
It's straightforward and easy to remember.
It is.
I love it.
And this phrase can also be used for those, shall we say, more delicate situations.
Okay.
You know, when nature calls
Right.
and you need to excuse yourself politely.
Ah, yes. The ever-important restroom break.
Exactly.
I need to go to the restroom. Simple, polite, and universally understood.
It is.
Now, this next phrase is interesting
Okay.
because it involves a subtle shift in tone.
Okay.
Instead of I need to, the resource suggests using I have to when talking about responsibilities.
You're right. That is an interesting, it's a small change.
Yeah.
But it conveys a sense of obligation or necessity.
Hmm.
I have to work late tonight carries a different weight than I need to work late tonight.
It's like the difference between a personal choice
Right.
and a non-negotiable commitment.
Exactly.
Speaking of commitments,
Yeah.
let's talk about navigating those social situations where you're trying to figure out the departure time.
Ah, the art of the graceful exit.
Yes.
The resource highlights, when are we leaving? As a great way to subtly inquire about the group's plans without being too direct.
That makes a lot of sense.
Right.
It's like you're casually checking in with the group's vibe
Yes.
without putting anyone on the spot.
Exactly.
Right.
And the resource points out that this phrase is often preferred
Okay.
over something like, when do we go?
Yeah.
Which can sound a tad abrupt.
Okay.
It's all about those subtle social cues.
Yes. It's amazing how those subtle cues can really make or break a conversation. Now, this next phrase is one I used to overthink all the time. How much was it? Versus how much did it cost? Drove me crazy. But this resource set me straight.
I think we've all been there. The good news is it's a common question with a simple answer. How much was it? Is the clear winner. It's what you'll hear most native speakers use naturally.
Music to my ears. So if I'm chatting with a friend about that amazing vintage jacket they found, I can confidently ask, how much was it? Without missing a beat.
Exactly. And this works for anything. You might have bought a cup of coffee, a concert ticket, you name it. How much was it? Is your go-to phrase.
Love it. Okay, ready for our final phrase of the day. This one seems so simple, it almost feels obvious, but I have a feeling there's more to it than meets the eye. Let's talk about I don't need anything.
You're right, this one seems deceptively simple. But think about it, especially in a shopping context. Being able to clearly and politely communicate that you're not looking for anything is key.
That makes sense. So if a store clerk approaches me and asks that dreaded question, can I help you find anything? I can politely but firmly respond with, no, thank you, I don't need anything.
Precisely. It's about setting those boundaries and confidently navigating those retail interactions.
Which is what this entire deep dive has been all about. These 25 phrases have been like unlocking secret levels of fluency.
It's not just about memorizing a list, it's about understanding the nuances that make your English sound natural, engaging, and confident.
It's like having those tools in your back pocket to navigate any conversation, from casual chit-chat with friends to more formal interactions.
And the best part is, the more you use these phrases, the more natural they'll become. You'll find yourself effortlessly incorporating them into your everyday conversations.
So there you have it, 25 must-know intermediate English phrases to level up your conversational game and unlock a whole new level of confidence. Keep practicing, and remember, the most important thing is to communicate with authenticity and enthusiasm.